right. Welcome to Cooking and Ranting with me. I was going grocery shopping and I had this thought experiment in my head and I was trying to think through it from my home to the grocery store, and on the way back I was on my foot. Um and it was oddly satisfying, so I just like to film this to keep it fresh while it is still in my head. So if you've watched any of my previous video, you probably would have heard me mention a couple of times, more than a couple of times, that I am a very career oriented person. I'm very career driven. In For the entire duration of my adult life, I have been tying my identity to my work. I am a tax practitioner. I do tax. I have never done anything but tax. And I know that tax is a thing that I will want to do for the rest of my career. Just that. Everything is tied to work, everything is tied to my profession. So, naturally, um, and as a tangent, you're going to have to forgive me here because I'm cooking. So, you're going to hear some of the natural sound of cooking in this vlog, but please bear with me. So, where was I? I was saying that, so naturally, as a career driven person who has, pretty much tied my identity to work, I am terrified of being let go. To me, being let go is kind of a form of rejection. You know, like, you know, you know what I mean? If you're like me and you don't know anything outside of work, and when that only thing that gives you a sense of self-worth and self-confidence is taken away from you, imagine how horrible that must feel like. Oh, the vegetable just hit the stove here, so sizzling a little bit. I have lowered the heat, but it smells amazing. Anyway, so I'm terrified of being fired, and I think that's part of the reason why I overworked myself. I put so much, so much of my heart, sweat, and tears into work because it's the only thing that I know. So I'm terrified of being fired. And as I talked about in some, in my recent video, my career is kind of it's has slowed down a little bit. I'm not getting the promotion and all of the external validation that I used to get. I want to think about this and take it even further. What if my career doesn't just slow down? What if I get fired from my job? So I was going through a number of scenario to sort of make peace with it. One is, am I going to be okay financially? And I think the answer is yes, I'll be just fine. I hope this is not too loud, but whatever. I have been saving and investing for over 10 years now. So I started doing it when I was quite young, when I just started working at 20, 21, 22. I almost don't spend a lot of the money that I make. I put them in saving or investment. I invest in ETFs. I don't buy individual stocks or mutual funds. I just invest them in ETFs, and they've been doing just fine. I also, since buying this home last year around November, I have managed to replenish my emergency fund up to 6 months of expenses. So I have way more than enough. I have way more than enough to sustain myself until the next job comes along. So okay, financially, I think we'll be fine. So that's definitely good. Health wise, frankly, I mean, I've been very healthy because I set aside a fixed amount of time to exercise every day, and I've been doing it for quite a few years. So physically, I'm quite healthy, but I feel that I can't say the same about my mental health. I work in an intensely stressful environment where it is somewhat of an expectation, this environment, for email and messages to be answered within 24 hours. That on top of the overwhelming workload has not been good for my mental health. And like I said, I have always been stretching myself so thin to make sure that things get done at work so that I could be satisfied with the work that I'm doing. I have kind of been neglecting myself when it comes to mental health. So, a pause from a job might be a bit of a blessing in disguise. Okay, so now that we've established I'll be all right financially and health wise, how about spiritually? Frankly, I think this is quite difficult for me to say because I have never been let go myself. I've watched a lot of people being let go at my previous company, but I've never experienced it myself, so I can't claim that I could relate. However, very recently, maybe just within the last 2 weeks, I discovered this YouTube channel called Asian Dad Energy, and the owner and speaker of this channel is an ex big tech software engineer, software developer. He was working for a big tech company for over 25 years and was let go as part of the most recent restructuring. So even though his enormous income has gone with that, he is doing absolutely. I'm just checking the fire here because we're on a gas stove. He is doing absolutely fabulously fine with things other than work. You know, he's having a lot of fun with his YouTube channel, with his side project, taking care of the children, cooking meals, handling all the repairs and maintenance for his property himself, his coaching business. So yeah, he's doing just fine. And even though I'm not nearly as old as Asian Dad, I actually don't know what his name is. I kind of see myself in him somewhat. Not because we're both Asian, it's because we seem to have shared somewhat of the same corporate career where it's intensely stressful. We get paid all right, but while we remain on that corporate treadmill, we have somehow forgotten about the hidden cost of holding such a stressful position. Things like how much time is spent at the office. It's pretty much it's the opportunity cost of things that you have to forego in the service of your job to bring that dollar home. And he's doing just fine. And he had discovered a lot of other meanings in life that he didn't have any time enjoy enjoy when he was working. Mushroom in. So I see myself in him, and I think if and when the sort of paid employment is taken away from me, I may find myself in the same situation where, I will relearn how to identify, to define my own identity outside of work again. And I like to think, even though I know that I'm not doing that very well at the moment, I like to think that I'm a multifaceted person. I'm not just the tax practitioner. I, I am much more than that. And I like to think that when that day, if that day comes, I can rebalance my portfolio and give more meaning to other parts of life that I had been neglecting while working in a corporate job. So where we are now. So we talk about financially, um, physical and mental health, and spiritually. So it seems like those are three ticks for me. Three, yes, yes, yes. I will be just fine. And I think, while I was just working so hard and burning myself out, I I never had time to think about this, and I sort of forgot and forgot or neglected to appreciate how resilient I can be, and how much and how much meaning I have been building in other in other aspects that, for example, financially, that could help me easily pivot from this. So I really should give myself more grace, and there's no need to be scared to death and burn myself out in the service of a job. So in short, this I'm just gonna get the hoisin not hoisin oyster sauce out of the fridge here. So in short, I think I'll be just fine, and there's no need to fret. And this thought experiment, oh, now I can't open this. And this thought experiment has really calmed me down and reminded me that there is more to life than just work. And life is precious. We are not going to be on this planet forever. I'm getting older. My significant other is getting older. My parents are getting older, and I should really pay more attention to other things that are slipping away while I'm just busy working for a paycheck. And with that, thank you for listening, and I hope to do this again very soon. Take care.